because you will need some other pattern recognition technique to identify these the infections superimposed on the heart. For example, you can see the shadow of the aorta down to the body. If the shadow is absent, then they indicate that there's an infection going on because it becomes more white. So that's one way to do this kind of interpretation. So you might wonder, how do we differentiate these white blurring areas compared to these kind of blurring areas, right? So but for normal cases, this is our blood vessels 血管。OK， 所以这是那个血管的这个影子。所以有时候你看到这个，并不是说 it does not indicate that it has pneumonia, it just indicates the normal blood vessel distributions. OK, so for this case we have pneumonia, but for the other case we might diagnose like for example pneumothorax. Anyone knows what is pneumothorax? 气胸。那 what is pneumothorax? Sometimes if you have a air leakage in one lung, then will cause unequal pressure between right and right side. So you'll see an expansion of one side of one lung to the other side, and will pressure the trachea into the other side. So this is we have one way to diagnose pneumothorax. And also, if you have a lung cancer or the lung, of special type of lung infections, then you will see nodules on your lung, in your lung. So you see a small white patch. Then that is the difficult part because we don't know whether or not this is the infections or the lung cancers. Okay, so that is the transient rate. So now we can also import this kind of data into our MATLAB. It's not very difficult. So in these folders, we see the two DICOM files. And what we need to do is we use the very simple command, which is one is a DICOM read, okay, DICOM-READ, which is very straightforward. The other is IM show, which indicates imaging show. So we can use these two functions to import the data into our MATLAB and to show our X-ray images. So let us do this in this. So we can try to import type the DICOM read. So it's easier to see. Let me type the DICOM read. And always remember to put the parentheses here. Okay, so in this parentheses, we need to put into a variable, right? But the variable is the file name here, which called is a complex file name. I just copy and paste this file name into the variable. If you just do this, you might want to do the DCM. If you just type this and hit enter, you'll get the error messages. It's because that the MATLAB will always assume that you have a variable typed into the parentheses, between the parentheses. But that variable, you need to tell the MATLAB what kind of variable you input into this place. So if you didn't specify this is the string variable, which is the text, letters type variable, then you will always assume that you put into digit variables, like numbers or something else. So if I want to correct this one, then I need to add a single quotation mark here. So I need to add a quotation mark in the left and right side. And you will see that this immediately changed the color from black to the purple, right? So I just tell MATLAB that this is a string variable, string. And so when doing this, then it will show you many, many numbers. And from the right side, you will see there's an answer variables tell you that the result is a 1024 by 1024 matrix. Means that this data is a two-dimensional matrix. Remember that in earlier time I just created a 10 by 10 matrix. So you can see that the imaging data is sometimes it's just 2 dimensions and sometimes it's 3 dimensions, like brain MRI data is 3 dimensions. And even we have 4-dimension data in MRI imaging. So for the chest X-ray, it's always 2-dimensional imaging. So it just tells you the size of the matrix. So the 1024 means that when you click on this matrix, it will show you that there are 1024 rows in this matrix, and there are also 1024 columns in this matrix. And for each place or each cell, there's number. Okay, so these are our chest X-ray images, but we digitize the images into this kind of format. So now to make it more convenient, let me not just type into a DICOM read. Let me just, for example, we just can call this X-ray equals to DICOM read. So I also add a semicolon here. So I don't want to see the numbers after I hit this command. So you will just import this image into the X-ray variable. Okay. Then the next step is how to show these images. So it's very simple. We just have the IM show, then X-ray. Then it will just pop up a window showing the same thing you see on the website. So it's a very simple way that you can import the chest X-ray images and show on the MATLAB. So you can imagine that in this course, we will use this kind of approach to import data into MATLAB. And we need to do something with this kind of data. For example, in this chest X-ray data, which is the matrix data, we will find out which part has pneumonia. So that's the tricky part, and that's why we need an AI algorithm to train the data and to find out the model to interpret these kind of images. And I can tell you in the older time, we do not use the AI algorithms. For example, if you want to diagnose pneumonia based on this digital data in the older time, you will just figure out an algorithm to find out how to calculate the white areas in the images. So, for example, you will try to write a program, write a script to screen the white regions in this data. But immediately you might find out that it's very difficult because there are many white areas in this chest X-ray data. So how to differentiate the pneumonia region from other white regions is a problem. So that's why it's very challenging, but it's also very fun. So I hope this is not difficult for the beginning. Okay, so we just use 2 functions to complete our task here. One is to read DICOM files into the MATLAB, and the other is to try to show the images from your data. Okay.
Can I ask what is the value in the cell? Because that means the conscious ratio in each pixel?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the values means the imaging intensities. You can also think it's a contrast. It's okay, because it's always a reference to something. Yeah. So for example, you can we can do this function because for example, we can do an X-ray 1 equals to X-ray minus for example 100. Okay. Yeah. 100. Then we just reduce the value from this one. So when I show these new images, you will see it's become darker. So this is representing intensity, but it's also the contrast. Yeah. But for the contrast, is like the true definition of contrast is the difference between two imaging values. So it's actually reduce the brightness of the images, but not really the contrast. But for the value itself, you can think it's the contrast or intensity is fine. Yeah. But the procedure I did here is try to reduce the brightness because I reduce the value of the intensity. Yeah.
But this one only work for black and white picture.
For color images, we have 3 channels, which is red, green, and blue. Yeah, RGB, yes. So we have you will see there's a 1024 by 124 and by 3. So there's 3-dimensional matrix. Yeah.
So what is the upper limit of the dimension?
Oh, it depends on the file format or it depends on the machine, the resolutions or the detection capacity of the machine. Yeah. So that's the tricky part because different X-ray machines might have different X-ray format. So that completes our first class. And so I hope everyone can accept my English and try to use it. So I think I will continue to use English in this course. And also, but in the case presentation, just use Chinese. No worries, okay? Okay. And also,对，有什么问题大家就可以问，我会留一点时间给大家问问题，那大家可以用中文问没有问题，好不好？好，那我们就先下课，有问题的话你可以到前面来问我，好不好 ？OK， 谢谢大家。因为我们要分组，所以例如就是调查一下大家的 email。那我们总共有几位？我想一下，就是应该有大约20位左右，是不是？我会建议大概分成3到4组就可以了，不用太多。一组人不要太少，因为我怕大家会有压力。就是大家多一点人可以合作比较好，好不好？或者分成3组好不好？3组 OK， 好。对，那就是实际上报告就是大概刚刚有同学问的，就是下周或最快下周我会给大家第一次的报告的题目跟 data。那大家不用担心，就不会很困难。然后就是我只是要大家练习一下怎么样处理这个 data。那基本上就是前半段课程会教的事情。然后那就是给大家一点 challenge， 就是说。这个3组 data 都会不太一样，所以就是大家努力把自己 data 给呈现这个结果出来这样子。那到时候我们的评分方式就是我建议就是每一组你们可以自己决定自己谁要报告哪一些部分，然后呢我会请就是其他在报告的那一组就其他2组在台下去评分那一组的同学的分数，我就同学大家可以互评。这样会比较客观一点，我也不希望都是我自己来评分，这样就是比较主观这样子，好不好 ？OK， 所以到时候就用这个 overall 方式。那所以其实这种状况就是大家也不用太担心成绩，我目的是希望大家能够都了解这中间在做什么事情，然后有一些实际的应用这样子。I think it's okay 对。对。
So if you're going to register for this class, just come here and leave your email to me. 写下。因为我们上面是。
You already have my email.
Oh yeah.
我会跟着你，我会跟着你。
加油！
去看老鼠。
你们两个啊，然后我们休开不了。
你好认真哦。
我问老师想不想开？是这样的。
但我发现其实没有缺开，不需要
有点，然后刚刚有点，我准备。我这样子。
你是不是就跟我跟你说一样，就是前面就是没有啊，
他自己有。
教学。
对，那我先不要写，不上了。
啊，你不上，不行吗？而且我们那个是讲不出写不出来的时候，求救工程学的第一题。
没有啦，应该是推广。应该是没有推广。
It will be peers and teachers.
还是我们不要去？
你说现在直接推？
对啊，不然你等下看的就不好了。
会吗？开始统计人数之后，记得你就不好了。开始记性，人情公式。会吗？我都听过这个不会吗？有意识。谢谢。没在怕。是我那时候看的教
没有，我觉得我们先退，然后退了第三个，然后老师叫我。
哦，你就说你旁听。
对，因为你在家里退是不好意思。
懂吗？那重开。
然后来几个
人少会了，人少会比较尴尬。他想要开不成，就会开始 hold 住你。
没有，你就说老师，我先选可不想知道大概，就是真的来听，就是我想说就是大纲跟那个老师一样，
而且他2个礼拜上一次。
他就先老师就这样讲，然后就不要说。
好啊。